The European Commission has called on Hungary to clarify reports claiming Hungary's foreign minister regularly shared sensitive EU information to his Russian counterpart.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni conceded defeat Monday in a referendum on judicial reform, but said she would not resign.
The European Commission has called on Hungary to clarify reports claiming Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó regularly shared sensitive information from European Union meetings to his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov.
The reports regarding the Hungarian foreign minister allegedly disclosing to his Russian counterpart the closed-door ministerial level discussion in the Council are greatly concerning, and a relationship of trust between member states and between them and the institution is fundamental for the work of the EU, and we expect the Hungarian government to provide the clarifications.
First reported by the Washington Post, several current and former European security officials were cited saying Szijjártó regularly calls Lavrov during breaks in European Council meetings with direct reports on what was discussed. The Hungarian government denied the allegations, calling them fake news. The reports are explosive as EU member states are bound by the principle of sincere cooperation, and the content of the meetings is understood to be confidential. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk was among the first to condemn the revelations, saying they came as no surprise. The reports emerged as political tensions rise ahead of Hungary's parliamentary elections. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's government is one of the few in Europe to maintain regular ties with the Kremlin. His Fidesz party faces a strong challenge from opposition leader Peter Magyar's Tisza party, which is leading in opinion polls.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni conceded defeat Monday in a referendum on judicial reform, but said she would not resign.
E I cittadini hanno deciso e noi come sempre rispettiamo la loro decisione. Resta chiaramente il rammarico per un'occasione persa di modernizzare l'Italia, ma questo non cambia il nostro impegno per continuare con serietà e determinazione a lavorare per il bene della nazione.
Voters rejected the constitutional reform with around 55% voting no and 45% voting yes, based on nearly all the votes counted. Turnout reached nearly 59%. The reform would have split Italy's judiciary into separate career paths for judges and prosecutors, divided the Superior Council of the Magistracy into two bodies, and created a new disciplinary court. Parliament approved the reform in October 2025, but it failed to secure the two-thirds majority needed to avoid a popular vote. The European Commission took final steps to provisionally apply the Mercosur trade deal from the 1st of May, covering Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. The move uses a special procedure to ensure the deal takes effect despite a judicial review launched by the European Parliament after a pivotal vote suspended ratification on the 21st of January. The priority now is turning this EU-Mercosur agreement into concrete outcomes, giving EU exporters the platform they need to seize new opportunities for trade, growth and jobs, EU Trade Commissioner Marko Šefčovič said, adding provisional application will allow the EU to begin delivering on that promise. The agreement liberalizes trade flows between the EU and Mercosur countries, creating a free trade area of more than 700 million people. The Commission signed off on the deal and secured backing from EU member states, despite strong opposition from EU farmers who fear unfair competition from Mercosur imports.
Johannes Hahn has resigned from his position as the European Union Special Envoy for Cyprus, the European Commission announced. The former lawmaker cited other commitments as the reason behind his resignation in a letter he sent to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and to the UN. A spokesperson for the European Union was asked about this development during a press briefing in Brussels.
Mr. Hahn has stepped down from his position as Commission Special Envoy due to other concurring commitments. The Commission respects Mr. Hahn's decision and thanks for his valuable contribution to the settlement process over the last year, and the President will decide on the next steps in due course.
Johannes Hahn was appointed to his post in May last year following months of efforts by Nicosia, urging the European Union's substantive involvement in the Cyprus issue.
The trial for the Dembi tragedy has begun in Larissa. The first day was marked by intense protest by the victims' families. The trial was interrupted 4 times. The lawyers requested a suspension of the proceedings until the Greek Supreme Court can rule on the conditions in the hall where the trial was set to begin.
Ήρθαμε εδώ για να δικάσουμε και θα δικάσουμε. Πέρασαν 3 χρόνια χωρίς να είναι κανένας υπεύθυνος στη φυλακή. Από εκεί και πέρα να τελειώσει αυτή η δίκη, να βρεθούν όλοι οι κατηγορούμενοι που θα παρευρεθούν σε αυτή τη δίκη στη φυλακή και από εκεί και πέρα ο καθένας με τους νομικούς του και με τον νομικό δρόμο να προσπαθήσει να κάνει ό,τι αυτός νομίζει είναι καλύτερο για τους συγγενείς.
Outside the building, hundreds of citizens demonstrated and demanded exemplary punishment for the accused. At the same time, there was tension inside the courtroom. Shame was the slogan that dominated the protest of the relatives of the victims, as the available seats were 120 in the 283 square meter hall. Several of the 250 lawyers taking part in the trial, as well as journalists, were left standing. At one point, the court asked the press representative to leave for reasons of capacity. It has been 3 years since the deadly train accident that claimed the lives of 57 people. The head of the International Energy Agency said Monday that the global economy faces a major threat because of the Iran war. Fatih Birol told Australia's National Press Club in Canberra that the war in the Middle East has severely damaged more than 40 energy assets across 9 countries, as he warned of deepening risks to the global economy.
I think no country will be immune to the effects of this crisis if it continues to go in this direction. So there is a need for global efforts around the world.
He said the crisis in the Middle East has had a worse combined impact than the 2 oil shocks of the 1970s and the effect on gas markets of the Russia-Ukraine war. Oil prices continued to climb as the end of the Iran war was not in sight. The official added that he was consulting with governments in Europe and Asia about the prospect of releasing further stockpiled oil.
A military cargo plane crashed shortly after taking off in southwestern Colombia on Monday, causing what the country's defense minister described as, quote, an undetermined number of casualties. Images circulating online showed large plumes of smoke rising above an empty field where the aircraft had crashed as trucks carrying more soldiers rushed to the site. The incident occurred over the remote Amazonian municipality of Puerto Leguizame, which borders Peru and Ecuador. Colombian army officials say the plane experienced problems immediately after takeoff.
De igual manera, hemos enviado un equipo investigador para empezar a determinar cuáles son las causas de este siniestro. En este momento no conocemos detalles, salvo que tan pronto despegó la aeronave, sufrió algún problema y se precipitó a tierra más o menos a un par de kilómetros desde el aeropuerto.
The Colombian general detailed that 114 people and 11 crew members were aboard the Hercules C-130 plane, a military transport aircraft designed to carry up to 120 people. The plane was carrying soldiers over to the nearby province of Puerto Asís, some 220 kilometers away. Authorities noted that while it's not yet clear how many people were killed in the crash, 48 people have been confirmed rescued and are receiving treatment.
The pilot and co-pilot of an Air Canada plane were killed in a collision with a fire truck on a runway while landing at New York's LaGuardia airport late on Sunday. Photos and videos from the scene showed severe damage to the front of the aircraft, with cables and debris hanging from a mangled cockpit. Nearby, a damaged emergency vehicle could be seen lying on its side. 41 passengers and crew members were taken to nearby hospitals, some with serious injuries. Most have since been released from treatment, authorities said. The fire truck was traveling across the runway to respond to a separate incident aboard a United Airlines flight, whose pilot had reported an issue with odor, they added. The airport will remain closed until at least 2 p.m. on Monday to facilitate the investigation, which is being led by the National Transportation Safety Board.
The exhibition Matisse 1941 to 1954, which highlights the final years of French painter Henri Matisse, opens its doors at the Grand Palais in Paris. More than 300 paintings, drawings, books and cut-out gouaches trace this key period in the artist's life, considered his most prolific.
Cette période a été pour Matisse, qui était pourtant un vieil artiste, puisqu'il a 70 ans en 1941, 84 ans lorsqu'il s'éteint en 1954 à Nice. Eh bien, ça a été la plus prolifique parmi les plus prolifiques de toute sa carrière de peintre. C'est le moment aussi où il va vraiment se réinventer à travers un médium qui est celui de la gouache découpée. Et à travers ce médium, créer des œuvres qui vont être de plus en plus monumentales. Et c'est cet aspect-là de Matisse qu'on va pouvoir découvrir à Paris.
The exhibition spans 2 floors and the works are presented in an atmosphere inspired by the artist's working conditions.
Ce que nous avons voulu restituer dans l'exposition et dans le parcours de l'exposition, c'est cette intimité avec l'atelier, c'est de pouvoir rentrer dans l'atelier de Matisse, se retrouver face aux œuvres comme si on était dans l'atelier de Matisse.
The exhibition brings together the painter's best-known works alongside pieces that remain little known in France and runs until July the 6th.